Welcome back, everyone, to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BETSPERTS. We are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. Back off a one-day hiatus. I'm Alex Christenson. Joining me, as always, Mr. Andy Molitor. And Andy, it wasn't necessarily a bad thing I wasn't here yesterday, because I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have picked Zeke for first touchdown score or 2+ touchdowns or whatever he ended up doing last night in that mess of a football game.
Yeah, I did not have Zeke. I tried to fill it in your stead, and I picked some touchdown scorers.
I saw it, admirable.
I had CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott, which it's like,
Lamb's
he's in.
So close.
Lamb, he's in, and then he's not. And I'm like, oh man, this is like sneak territory, right? And it's like, fuck, anybody but Zeke. And Tim had Zeke. A few other people had Zeke. So congrats to them. I turned $60 into $25 in Showdown. Congrats to me. I was honestly is stupid. I get excited. I'm like, hey, one of my teams placed, even though 3 of them lost money. So
I hate that. You won.
It was a fun one. I ended up just after watching the first drive and the Eagles' inability to do anything defensively there, I'm like, well, I'm gonna take a live over. So I did end up with a live over in the low 50s. That was really my only bet. I didn't actually make the halftime bet. I got to get a second device out there. If I switch tabs during halftime when I'm out on the boat, then it freezes. So I need a second. I need to bring my wife's phone out there so I can bet, because we had Cowboys money line second half at plus 102, plus 103. That was kind of a no doubter, I guess. It was a push for a little bit. It was never losing. I'll say that. It was pushing for a little bit, but a pick 6 right off the bat, pretty nice. And how are things? Did you indulge in Philadelphia sports radio this morning?
You have to. There is nothing better in this world than Philadelphia sports talk radio the day after an Eagles loss, especially because, Andy, they were pretty optimistic yesterday. Not being able to play on the internet for most of the day. I was in my car listening to the radio, and everyone was feeling pretty good about the Eagles' chances. Thought Jalen Hurts could put up some points against this Cowboys defense. And I think really what we saw was the Eagles missed Brandon Graham. I mean, that defense is really built on the ability to get pressure, to get to the quarterback. And they have a lot of good guys. It's a deep line, but he really is the marquee guy, the engine that kind of makes it all go. We saw Fletcher Cox still able to do a bunch of great stuff, but once that Eagles defense can't get any pressure, and then we saw the safeties were out as well. I think they were down to their second or third string safety at one point. And again, like you said, you saw that on the CeeDee Lamb touchdown. He just ran by the guy. I don't know if he forgot that was his job. I mean, it was kind of a mess. So that's right. So, I mean, overall, the city of Philadelphia is feeling the vitriol and pain and sadness that you would expect. It's all over. Maybe we need to do something with Sirianni. Who knows? At least no one said Joe Flacco season. I guess Minshew mania season. We don't have Flacco anymore.
We didn't even know he was inactive last night. We were calling for him at halftime. We were like, are we worried about Minshew coming in for this bet? And turned out, he was not on the active roster. So, from my end, for sure, the injuries on the offensive line and the defense were real bad. And then we had another safety go down. I'm sure Philadelphia took a collective deep breath when they saw Fletcher Cox go down, and then realized Cowboys are just running at tempo, and he's huge, and he's just going to take a break and rip some Gatorade and get back up and sit out a play. He's fine. So decent there. At least they didn't lose him. And looking a little bit ahead, and this was a big conversation once the game was kind of in hand, was some of the adjustments. We spoke about this on Sunday night with Drew. We said there's a decent chance some books are even hanging a 7.5 now. Just a game like that sucked all. Anybody who bet Chiefs early, congrats. I mean, you could have got a 5.5, 6.5.
Oh, is that what the look at it was?
Yeah, 7.5 now. And I mean, that's kind of where the way it's going to go. It is in Philadelphia. I expect that probably to end up in a lot of teasers as well, but a super high total in that. And then a couple. If you do bet look aheads, and this is something I keep saying I'm going to do, and I just don't have the balls to fire on it. I think you need to look at it differently as far as find games where if things go way wrong, it's not going to adjust against you too hard because it was maybe expected. But if things shake out right on your end, then you can get some value like you ended up with Chiefs and Eagles. Let's say the Eagles beat the Cowboys by 15 points. It's not like you're crossing a bunch of key numbers then in the Chiefs game.
It's not going down to 3.
You're not going down to 3 or something. You might lose a little value, but it's not there's more upside than downside. So I think maybe something I'm going to look at this week. It's Lions Bears, and truthfully, like, too many smart people are betting the Lions now for me to wait until Wednesday. I'm gonna have to get some Lions before it goes to 2.5. So that's another one. Just with the Bears' offensive output, what we saw, the Lions are getting some money, and then Texans and Bills 16.5. Some places cross the 17.5. That is a huge number, and yeah, we're gonna
I
see
was
that
gonna
with
say,
that.
is that pretty key? I can't remember where that is on the list.
There's no really key numbers up past 14, but I mean, even 14 is not actually key. But once you get up there, it's kind of a mess. It's funny. Like that got opened higher based on how the Bills looked and, the Texans doing nothing on Thursday night, and then actually got bet down a little. So, I mean, people took the 17.5, the 17 with the Texans, which was semi-surprising, but it is a S-load of points in a National Football League game for a team coming off rest. I mean, it is Texans get 10 days. Not that they have a coach or a quarterback, but that is a ton of points to lay, especially when, the Bills do keep their foot on the gas pedal more than most teams. But, I mean, it doesn't take a lot to get in the back door. When a team is up 3 scores, there's not a lot of incentive for them to, keep scoring it sometimes.
And you guys talked about this a little bit on the deep dive. People that were looking, I think, to fade Josh Allen last year and kind of took it in the wallet a little bit. Probably coming back on that this year. Did you see anything in that Washington game that makes you think that maybe he kind of got over that first week 2 hump? Or like you said, I mean, it's a team off rest against a quarterback that's not playing as well as he has. Yes, they put up a bunch of points this week against a decent Washington defense, but what's to say he doesn't go back to what we saw those first 2 weeks? And like you said, we've got 3 scores here. The back door should be wide open.
Yeah, if you want Buffalo, maybe some Buffalo first half where they're actually still, even if it's like a 10, it might still be just fine because I didn't see much offerings from that offense in Houston. This is on the road, hostile environment up in Buffalo, rough, rough, rough. Like you get your 10 days of rest. This is not where you want to go up to Buffalo and watch them jump through tables. So I'll get we'll dig into more of those on the deep dive tomorrow night. But yeah, just some interesting early looks in some NFL, and hopefully can get back in the saddle Thursday with a first touchdown score. It feels good to get a couple in a row. Like just pump those accounts up a little, and yeah, I think we'll be back at it Wednesday or Thursday.
Well, the good news is I got some big underdogs for us anyway. They're not first touchdown scores, Andy, but we got a couple tennis matches that I like at some big numbers here. Now, we're in Chicago. I know, and I checked a couple times. They are, we're in Chicago. This is a WTA 500 tournament, which is kind of like second tier. It's 2 tiers below Grand Slam, but it's the week before Indian Wells. Indian Wells being, the 5th or 6th biggest event of the year. A lot of points up here for grabs. So, one of the things I'm looking to do here in Chicago is try to find women that I expect to be kind of looking ahead to that Indian Wells tournament versus being focused on winning a tournament that's a new event, Andy. So there's no ranking points for anyone to protect here. Anything you kind of get from being here, I believe, is, additive to wherever you are. So, the first match we have here, Gabriela Ruse is going to be playing Camila Giorgi. And that match gets underway. It's hard to say when. It's going to be next on court after Harriet Dart and Beatriz Haddad Maya finish. They're in the 3rd set right now. So my guess is you have at least 30 minutes, maybe a little bit longer before this starts, probably closer to an hour because they'll have to get everybody off and transition. But Bruce plus 340 here, and also to win to Camila Giorgi, a very good player. Again, one of the things that I'll say with both of these bets, there's a chance both of these women lose like 6-2, 6-2. But Giorgi in her first match after the U.S. Open, again, I believe she's defending some points in Indian Wells, should be kind of looking ahead to there. Generally doesn't do very well in North America, especially in some of these non-slam, non-masters events. Happy to go against her here. And I think, in this situation, if she is really looking forward, I don't expect much of a fight in the second set. So my hope here is we get Ruse in the first, and then she takes care of business 2-0. If, things are really going to go the way I expect them to. And we have a similar theme in the next match. And this is later this afternoon, should be around, I think, 3 o'clock Eastern time, maybe 2:45. I'm seeing some places. So still have some time for this. On Lee, someone that we've backed quite a bit, a name that you're familiar with if you listen to the show, going against Garbina Muguruza. Muguruza having, again, a very up and down year, but almost certainly, in my opinion, looking forward to Indian Wells. She had a bye in the first round, so she's going to get second round ranking points just for showing up and playing this match. She's a great tennis player. Again, might just beat An Lee 6-2, 6-2, something like that. It could be pretty quick, but happy to grab her at plus 340. I look at both of these women. I have this south of plus 300, closer to 250. Lee, actually, if I tweak some stuff, I have as low as plus 200. The 2-0 prices, again, I don't think that books are taking into account kind of what the flow of this match should be, the week we're in, and a couple books here putting out some really high prices. Look for 2-0 as opposed to minus 1.5 sets. That seem to be where the plus 700 numbers are. And some books, like for example, FanDuel, will post something like, will the player win a set? Yes, no. So you bet the no, and you kind of do it that way. It's one of the funky parts about tennis. Everybody words things differently, but poke around. You'll be able to find these 7-1 some places. And even if the money line was supposed to be 340, these 2-0s should be closer to 5-1, something like that. So before I even take into account that I think there's value in the money line, the correlation looks off to me as well. So 2 big underdogs and some 2-0s.
Yeah, it's silly too. You'll see that. Like, do pop around, especially if you're not pressing your head against the upper limits of some of these on these bets. Like, because some of these, they will be at lower limits for some of these props.
Yeah.
But you'll see it as minus 1.5 sets, 2-0 sets, or the opponent to win a set. No. And sometimes at the same book, you'll see different prices on
3 different prices.
It's the exact same thing. So do poke around when you're making those props. Good advice from Mr. Christenson there. Wearing my American US Ryder Cup hat from Hazeltine.
We deserve what we got.
Yeah.
Traitors.
Yeah, I still like the number. It just a bunch of people didn't show up, and fuck it, I'm fine. Whatever.
The first 2 days went as poorly as they could have gone. Anyway.
Yeah, it was nice. Again, I said it yesterday. I didn't really have to care about it Sunday. I went and just watched football. So nice. But we are on this. This was an alternate stop on the tour for years. It's actually a full tour stop. There's good perks here. It's a real event. It just happens to be in the September, October region where we're in the 21-22 season. It's a real PGA Tour event, but there are a lot of guys who just don't golf this time of year. The people who don't need the money, the people who don't need card status, the people who aren't grinding. Although I will say the event has drawn bigger names over the years. Like, there are bigger names at the Sanderson Farms tournament than there used to be. Sergio won it last time out. He looked good. He was at the top of his game and the field wasn't as good. And he just kind of made his, he was dominant when he needed to be and he won it. So there are some decent names here. If you take a look, you'll see again, I think, he's back. There's at the top of the field, I'm looking at Alfred Dunhill, but Sam Burns, Sergio Garcia kind of at the top, Sal Torres, Corey Connors, Charlie Hoffman up there too. So not the biggest of names, but decent. I found a few outrights I liked for this one in Sung J M, Mito Pereira. I almost rolled the R. HV3 stands for Harold Varner III, and my guy Seamus Power. I have them all power rated in the top 10 here. You're getting some decent numbers, especially as you go further down. It is an easy course. It's average distance for a par 72 on tour, really wide fairways. I'm not worried about guys having a ton of accuracy off the tee. If you're missing these fairways, you're probably just having a bad day overall. So bombers probably have an advantage here. I didn't go with anybody massively off the tee, although Varner and Pereira aren't bad off the tee. Mostly just looking for guys who can score in bunches, do it on the greens, do it with, they're finding the greens, the approach game, and guys who can find their way into a very low score for 4 days. So these are my 4 for now, and I will be having some matchups later this week. So hopefully Varner, if Varner just gets the putting going, his approach game is solid. If he can save, he's not the greatest off the tee. So I'm very hopeful for Harold Varner this week.
So this is
3 week. I'll probably have him first round.
So this is the first event of next season, if I was following you?
Kind of, yes. It's the season works. It's a wraparound season. So it's 21-22. Like, it's weird. Like, technically the first event was the event before the Ryder Cup, I think. I'm not sure.
Oh,
I don't know. Nobody makes
doesn't
it less
matter.
clear.
They're playing golf.
Yeah. I believe it's the second event because there was one the week before the Ryder Cup, and nobody makes it less clear when the season starts and stops than the PGA. So whatever. If they put a tournament in front of me, I'll bet it.
It's good to know that a sport is trying to compete with tennis for the silliest and most annoying scheduling practices. So, way to go, golf. Way to go, tennis. Maybe someday you guys will figure it out.
Speaking of silly scheduling practices, are we back on a 82 game season for the
We
NBA?
are.
Everything's
We're back to
pretty
82
normal this
games.
year? Okay.
Everything's going back. They took some of the travel lessons that they learned, I believe, from the shortened schedule. Like I think we'll still see some back-to-backs and kind of 2 game series, things like that. They kind of reorganized the travel a little bit. So hopefully all that's pretty good. But yes, back to a full 82 game season this year in the NBA, Andy. And I'm pretty sure you're still there, although you're a little bit fuzzy right now, which I know producer Dan is loving. Few weeks till we get to the NBA
Ah,
season, and we have one more award category here, Andy. Are you ready for? Do you actually know who they named this award after? I'm curious.
um, John Wooden. He was a
Red
college coach.
Auerbach. It's a cool trophy. It's
Red
a guy. It's a
Auerbach. Yeah, there you
brass.
go.
It's a brass Red Auerbach sitting on a bench.
I get down with that, even though I don't like Boston in general.
So jumping into this again, I put together a couple previews. Make sure you follow Ace NBA previews. That's where I've been putting a lot of these award previews. Already did 6 Man of the Year and Most Improved. Most recently looked into Coach of the Year, Andy. And as you go back historically, there's really 3 categories. Well, we'll talk about a fourth one in a second, but 3 categories that really indicate success here. 10 of the last 11 Coach of the Years had a top 5 win percentage in the NBA. All 11 of them improved their record year over year, and all 11 of them beat their regular season win total. Now, the only exception to that, of course, is Tom Thibodeau. So you've got to be a top 5 team. You got to have a better win percentage year over year, beat your regular season win total, or be Tom Thibodeau. So as we start to look through that list, there's a handful of coaches, and it's kind of a funky award. And I went through, and this is one of the first times I've done this, tried to go through and put together kind of my own odds for Coach of the Year. It's, again, a very sort of qualitative award, if you will. So it's tough to kind of wrap my head around that. But, you start to think about that top 5 win percentage. You can cross off a bunch of coaches already from that. It leaves you, again, with a very small group of guys. And again, you can read through the piece to see all my thoughts on everybody. There were a couple names that were close. Somebody like Steve Kerr, I'm pretty bullish on the Warriors, but I think it's going to be tough for them, again, to crack into that top 5 and maybe even beat their regular season win total. So crossed him off. Even somebody like Rick Carlisle in Indiana, somebody the media really likes, has got a chance to kind of take a team and really exceed expectations. Be too tough for him to get in the top 5. But we have 3 names that I really like quite a bit. And it's tough, Andy. I know we've talked about this before, and I laughed when I saw it was 9-1 because this is what we talked about last time. We're going to be lame and bet the favorite at 9-1.
That's
Steve
fine.
Nash. He's got the Brooklyn Nets. We've got a Nets over. We've got Nets to win the East, but it is tough. This is a super team, if you will, and generally super team coaches don't do well in this, but Nash has kind of the counteracting force of being a second-year coach, which means expectations are low, and he really is a media darling. I mean, everybody loves him. He's been really great and good in interviews, giving people lots of extra time. So I think that can counteract some of the super team stuff. And again, checks the box in every other category in a big way. The Nets are likely to have the best record in the league, let alone top 5. They should be able to beat their win total from last year, given the improvements of the team and how much easier their schedule is. And again, we've taken them to go over the regular season win total. Really happy there. The next name on the list, I haven't been too excited about the Lakers. I've been kind of vocal about my concerns about them overall, but as I look at Frank Vogel here at 14-1, I think there's some real value in this number, given, again, the chance to be top 5. And they struggled last year. So it's going to be easy for the Lakers to exceed expectations from what they did last year. Russell Westbrook, I think, will be a problem in the playoffs, but I think it's going to help them exceed that regular season win total. As I look at this, I would have Frank Vogel closer to 4-1, 5-1. So happy to take him at plus 1,400. Let me see. What did I have Nash? I had Nash at closer to 3-1 as well, if you're curious there. And then the third name, Mike Budenholzer, someone who really flipped the script on what people thought of him last year and in the postseason. Me specifically and a lot of other people that have spent a lot of time making fun of Coach Bud were really impressed with what he did, not only late in the regular season, even during it. We saw him change systems, try new things, be really creative with lineups so that when we got to the postseason, they were able to deal with all that adversity. I think the team strengthened their bench a little bit this year. As I look at their schedule, pretty easy. I think we'll get back to seeing them compete for the best record in the East, possibly at the very least a top 2 or 3 seed there, which puts them comfortably in the top 5 of the league. Again, had a little bit of a down year integrating Holiday and working things out with a shortened bench. So that gives them an opportunity to exceed their win total. as well as exceed what they did last year. So 22-1. Coach Bud looks really nice to me. I have him closer to 9-1 or so there. So 3 picks for me for Coach of the Year odds. Take a look around. These numbers are a little bit different at certain places, but you should be able to find these. And posted this on BETSPERTS, posted it on Twitter. And again, make sure you follow Ace NBA Previews on Twitter to make sure you get all these first thing. But you can find that a bunch of places for all my thoughts.
I'm down. You know I like to tie up money all year. I'm constantly
Hide it
betting.
from yourself.
You do. It's like a savings account. I'm looking at awards markets like every week for the NFL. Like I can't get enough of that shit. So, all right, NBA preseason starts this weekend, right around the corner. We're gonna have some NBA action. That'll be fun for sure for everyone but me, who doesn't care for the NBA all that much outside of the fun games.
You pretend well.
I pretend well, and I like the good games. So. All right. Well, one final shout out to sponsor WynnBet, where you can get your $1,000 risk-free bet or less, whatever. You can do a $100 risk-free bet. Maybe don't overextend yourself and get worried about having to bet that amount again. But whatever you want, up to a $1,000 risk-free bet using promo code BETSPERTS1000. And if you use that promo code, sign up using that and send us the information. Let us know. DM us at BETSPERTS on Twitter. I'll send you a damn fleece. And it's just that easy. And with that,
Love it.
we'll see you tomorrow for Win Total Wednesday.